Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Um, we'll be holding for a few more minutes as everyone dials in, but very excited for our hands-on with Figma webinar today. It's just 30 minutes long, so it'll be pretty quick, action-packed. You'll see a lot. And maybe as people are joining, feel free to find the webinar chat, get familiar with it. This is where we'll be hosting Q&A, so you can enter all of your questions in there that you have for the presenters. And while you're joining, if you could let us know maybe where you're calling in from, that would be great to see. All right, I think we're going to get started. Nice to meet you all. I'm Eva. I'm an account executive here at Smartcat, so I have the pleasure of working with a lot of our enterprise customers. I'm joined by Laura Hargreaves. Laura is a solutions expert on our team, so she works on technical workflow design with our customers. And today we'll be talking about how to leverage the integration between Smartcat AI and Figma to deliver multilingual designs and content 10 times faster. So our agenda today, will start by talking about why we're here, the challenges that some of our customers are typically facing before they find Smartcat, and then we'll just jump in to a round-trip workflow on how to use Smartcat together with your Figma system that you're likely already using today to bring some efficiency to that workflow. And there will be plenty of time for questions during and afterwards, so please do not stay quiet on that chat. Okay, so a little bit of a level set of why we're here today. Why does localization matter? We know from our customers' data and from research reports, some of them linked here, that 65% of consumers of content prefer content in their own language, even if it's poor quality. 73% want to read content in their own language, and 40% will not purchase from a website that is in a language other than their own. So these statistics are pretty marked in telling us that if we want to grow in a market where English is not the primary spoken language, one of the best ways to ensure growth and engagement and conversion in that market is to offer marketing content, website content, product-related content in the language spoken by the market. So that's kind of the why behind Smartcat as a whole and behind this Figma workflow. So that brings us to some of the challenges in the roles of the folks who are likely on this call with us today. When you go to create that content and you want to localize it for your market, how do you really do that in a way that is scalable and efficient? And one place where we see challenges coming up is in content that's created using Figma. Why is that? Well, it's a system that it's difficult to bring a translator into. A lot of translators aren't native in Figma, so they will have trouble getting into that system to translate the content directly in there. They also might not have a license. So we know that Figma is a limited access system. And if you're not operating in Figma and you're exporting that text out of Figma for a translator to handle, they lose that design, that visual context, and that makes the localization process difficult. We also know that there's character limits with a lot of Figma designs. And so it's difficult to control whether translators are following those. And finally, just on the scalability piece, it's challenging to review large volumes of visuals. So when we're looking at large projects, whether that's marketing collateral, website content, and we really need to scale up to be able to localize all of the content for a given market, we run into some challenges around cost and timeliness at those larger scales. So when we talk about the types of content that is being localized within Figma, when we look at our Smartcat customers, these are the types of content that are typically coming up. Marketing materials, user interfaces for software and mobile apps, and websites. Our customers are using Figma to prototype these designs, to build out the pages and user interfaces within Figma, and then using the Smartcat integration to directly localize those assets. For the sake of today's webinar, just to give you a crisp workflow that's easy to follow, we're going to focus on marketing materials and collateral, but we do want you to know that these are some of the most widely used use cases. So that brings us to the demo, and we'll be focusing on how this integrated workflow really makes the Figma localization flow into a scalable process that's enterprise ready and fast and low cost. Any questions before we get started? Great, so I'm going to stop my screen share, hand it over to Laura, and I'll be monitoring the chat and watching for your questions.
Okay, thanks, Eva. I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we can dive into the workflow and see how that looks. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. You should be able to see Figma. And what you will see here, as Eva mentioned, we'll just do a simple demo today with the marketing sort of scenario. So I have a frame here that I'm going to translate, and I have our Smartcat translator plugin that runs directly within Figma over here. So what I'm going to do first of all is select the source language of this file. So obviously this is currently in English. And then I'm going to add a target language that I would like to translate into. So I'll do Portuguese in this case. So I've got a couple of options at this point, depending on what I want to do. If I just want that instant AI translation, I can click this button here, and that will instantly bring the translation straight into Figma using AI. And that can be super useful for cases when, for example, you're a designer and you want to get an idea of how text expansion might affect your design. You can preview this directly in the design in Figma. So as you can see here, we've got the translated content, and we can switch back and forth between languages and see how that affects the design. So for your instant AI translation, it really is as quick as that. But for the more polished AI plus human sort of collaborative workflows, we can go ahead and create a Smartcat project using this content from Figma. So we have that link down here at the bottom, and I can go ahead and click that. At this point, I can choose an existing project, or I can create a new one if I don't have one already. We'll just take a quick look at that workflow. and see how that works. So this is a very similar project creation workflow for all our content. So it works in a similar sort of way. Let's get the languages I've used previously out of here. So we can configure the settings, or we can automate this using a template. We can choose the workflow. So in this case, I'll just use the AI translation and the human review, but there are a variety of options available. And then I will go ahead and create the project here. And once I do that, we will in a moment we will see the content appear within Smartcat. And if we go back to Figma, we can see that this project is linked to this this frame now in Figma. So if we make any changes here, we can see the sync running, and this is kept in sync with the Smartcat version. So we can see now the frame has appeared within Smartcat, and we are running that initial AI translation stage. Once we've done that, we'll open up the content in Smartcat and see how the translation environment looks here. So if I go ahead and open this file in here, we can see we have this sort of bilingual editor environment. We have the English on this side, and we have the target, in this case Portuguese, on this side here. And your if it's a colleague or a freelancer from our marketplace, whoever is doing this review can go through and make any edits necessary in here. It's a great way to work on this sort of content, because we have our live preview down here. So we can see what the Portuguese version looks like with the existing translation. We can also switch back and forth between the English and then the Portuguese like that. And you may notice this call out here about missing fonts. If your design uses any custom fonts, you have the ability to upload those into Smartcat to improve the look of the preview, just to make that a better reflection of the design in Figma. And then that helps to reduce some of that back and forth then on the translated content. A few handy things in here that we can take advantage of. We have things like the document comments and segment comments. So if we want to ask any questions about the content, we can have that discussion in here rather than back and forth via email. And we've always got in context the text and the design here to keep everything together. And then from the review point of view, it's a case of going through, completing the necessary edits, and then clicking the tick to mark the translation as done. And once everything has been completed, we can click this done button in the corner to mark the document as finished. And that's that translation completed now. If we go back to Figma, we can sync that project, and we will be able to view the latest version of the translation with any edits made in Smartcat directly within here. We always keep that link to the project as well, so that we can refer back to that. But as you see, the Portuguese is now showing as complete. And if I switch, I can see that translation directly in there. And that's it for a quick look around. It's action-packed and a quick view. So I'm happy to take any questions that we might have at this point. And Don't know if we've got anything in the chat yet, Eva.
Not quite yet. But please feel free to post your questions, thoughts, any specific use cases that are coming up for you in Figma. Thank you so much, Laura. We do have a nice comment from Fanny. My team and I have started using the plugin, and having a visual directly on a Smartcat project plus live preview is truly amazing. That's great to hear. Any other like current use cases or ways that you're using the connector would be wonderful to share here, and we can talk through them a bit. Oh, I'm sorry. There are some questions here. It was just, I didn't have the right window open. Okay. If the web page has a video with subtitles.
Video with subtitles is a workflow that we support in Smartcat as well. I think we've probably got another webinar somewhere about that. But yeah, video is a common use case for our clients, both in terms of subtitle and AI dubbing as well. So absolutely a workflow we can support and help with.
Perfect. And can it extract the subtitle and translate it automatically?
Yep, we have a workflow where you can upload for example, an MP4 in English, and then the platform will transcribe the English audio and produce a subtitle for that. I have a caption.
We can definitely follow up with more information about the video workflows. Okay, question from Vadim. Are there frame size limits?
Are there size limits? Not specifically. We do have clients who use this plugin for quite a lot of content. It just really depends on how your frames are set up. So we would always say try it, and if you have any particular issues to let us know, and we can support you with that.
Perfect. And Philip, let us know if your video and subtitling questions were answered at this point. Oh, one more. Do you generate spoken translations in regional dialects when doing text to speech after translation of the transcription?
In the video workflows, yeah, it's the choice of voices that actually drives the different accents. So you have a selection of voices you can choose for the AI voiceover that drive which regional accent that is used, and we're adding more voices all the time. So there's quite a selection growing there now.
Perfect. Thanks, Philip, for those questions. One on translation quality and using branded terms from glossary. If the customer has a branded glossary of terms, can that be used through Smartcat and also leveraged through the Figma integration?
Great question. Yep. We find that glossaries are really useful for keeping that brand terminology and keeping that consistent against all content types. And we can use that with Figma in an automated way, together with project templates, just to reduce the setup and the number of clicks and keep that workflow running smoothly.
And I imagine that applies to other glossaries as other linguistic assets as well, like translation memory.
Indeed, yep. Glossaries, translation memories, any specific settings. If there is a regular reviewer that is always assigned for the same language, that's something we can automate within the workflow as well.
Great. Question about custom fonts. Is there support for custom fonts?
Yep, custom fonts can be uploaded within Smartcat. So you will see the call out in the preview window that you saw on my screen if a custom font is missing. Within your settings, you can manage all the fonts that have been used in your designs and upload them directly from there if they're not present.
Perfect. Thank you all for keeping the questions coming. This is really wonderful. I have a question from Rima. What did you use to create your English frame? Can I extract a PDF page and upload it and have it translated? What would the best workflow be for in the case of a PDF page?
Yeah, so typically with the Figma content, this workflow is best for content that's been created natively in Figma, and then we can just hook into where it was originally created. For a PDF is a file type that's supported via Smartcat as well. So the quickest and easiest workflow for a PDF would probably be to upload it to Smartcat directly. If you had the source file from wherever that has come from, that might produce better results. But generally in localization, the best practice is to translate content where it's being created. And that's why the Figma workflow can be so useful if people are working in that environment anyway. It's great to hook into that and add the translation at that point.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, a little break in questions. Could I just ask while we have a few minutes here, what are people's primary use case for Figma? Folks who are on the call with us, could you pop something in the chat to let us know? Laura, what are some primary use cases that you've seen from customers as of late?
It can be quite a mixed bag because there's a lot of content that's designed in Figma. I quite often see social media content as a good use case for this. So if you've got something like stories and you've got various different frames and you want to translate that into the languages that you post in, that's a use case that we see regularly. UI designs as well. If you're designing in Figma and you want to have the translation starting at that point, then yeah, I can see a lot use it for collaboration purposes, and that's a good way to fit it in with Smartcat as well, because we have that translation process be collaborative and have the commenting and reduce some of that back and forth that's sometimes involved. Yep,
That's
UI
great.
design, I can see that in there. Yep, yeah.
Yeah, I see UI design. I see collaboration with team members. Great
Yeah,
call
yeah.
out. One of the nice things about working with Smartcat through Figma is that we are an unlimited license model. So you're unlimited in the number of collaborators that you bring in to review content within the platform, or add comments, add notes.
Laura, there's a question from someone about is the AI able to use RAG for additional context to influence translation choices? Maybe you can explain how the AI in Smartcat can be trained and also prompted in some cases to get better translations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I love those ones. So yeah, AI translation is something that's very customizable. So as Jean-Luc alluded to, then we can do pre-training of the AI engines with specific content, and that can improve the initial quality of the output as it first comes out. And another way we can customize that output is via prompting. So we can be quite specific about how we instruct the engine to perform the translation task. And if there are any sort of company brand voice requirements or any specific ways of approaching terminology and things like that, they're all things that we can address with a custom prompt to fine tune that performance. So hopefully that gives a bit of a flavour of what we can do from a high level, but happy to discuss that one in more detail.
And the follow-up question is if the end user can fine-tune the engines, but it's not in the UI just yet, Laura, right?
Not in the UI just yet. No. It's a sort of semi-manual process offline on our side, but yeah, we can check what's on the roadmap there and absolutely keep people posted.
But the prompting can be done in the UI already. It's just a fine tuning, correct?
Yeah. Prompting indeed. Custom prompts is self-service. You can do that yourself as things stand. We're always happy to support as well and help with those prompts. But yes, the fine-tuning self-service is on its way.
And Philip, to answer your next questions, at the moment, when we prompt, we cannot add documentation like you were talking about RAG. For context, we cannot do this with the prompting just yet, but that would be done with fine tuning. We can do this in the background for you.
Yeah.
Now, I also see that Philip is asking about website translation. Smartcat has website translator functionality and actual features that are specifically built for that use case. We'll send some information after this. There's a whole other set of webinars and information about that feature set. So thanks for calling that out. I also have a question from Vadim. Is there an easy way to extract only necessary parts from the Figma frame using the plugin? And for example, if I only need to translate specific lines.
Yeah, there is. You can choose whether you translate all the nested elements within, or you can select to not translate those on an individual basis. So you have fine control basically over which parts of the content you translate. And then once you've configured that in the design, that will be remembered across all your languages, and you can just go ahead and translate what you need.
Vadim, let us know if that answered your question. Great. We have probably time for one or two more questions if anyone has something they're wondering about. Does Figma generate images from text?
Within Figma itself, you can export as a variety of formats, I believe, including images. Yeah, once the translation is complete from the Smartcat perspective, you can then export that content from Figma in whichever format you need it in.
Smartcat also supports generative AI workflows and image translation workflows. So if you would like more on that, we can certainly follow up with information. Definitely get in touch. Okay. As my co-hosts have said, for those who might have joined a bit late, we will be sharing the recording of this webinar after we wrap up. So this will be available to you, your colleagues. Thank you so much to Laura for leading the demo and discussion. I hope it was very straightforward and eye-opening for you all. I think just to quickly summarize, this is a use case that we see being especially impactful for our enterprise customers because it is one of the more time-consuming workflows if you do not have an integration with a platform like Smartcat. So we are seeing pretty, staggering levels of time savings, improvements in scalability and quality, and overall speed once this integrated workflow is introduced. So I'm really excited for you all to try it out and see the benefits for yourself. And thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.